Today is November 16th, 2022, and the time is now 9:20 a.m. I am Investigator Vora, and I'm conducting an official investigation into CCRB case number 2022-05365 on the complaint of Shawn Thomas, who alleges that at approximately 7:20 p.m. on August 10th, 2022, in the vicinity of the Hoyt Schermerhorn Street subway station, located at 225 Schermerhorn Street in Brooklyn, the following misconduct occurred: force, abuse of authority, discourtesy. This interview is taking place at the CCRB and is being recorded digitally. Officer, please state your name, rank, shield number, and command.
My name is James Dhanpath. Rank is Police Officer, District 30.
Okay, and shield number?
13714.
Okay. And present acting as your legal representative is?
Sam Littman, PBA attorney.
Present from the CCRB is?
Investigator Alexander.
All right. Officer, you're being interviewed as a subject in this matter. Do you wish to make any voluntary statements?
No.
Okay. This interview is taking place under the provisions of Patrol Guide Procedure 211-14. Officer, have you read and do you understand this procedure?
Yes.
Officer, have you read and do you understand the CCRB policy statement concerning the rights of a New York City police officer being interviewed by the CCRB?
Yes.
Counsel, do you waive the formal reading of the CCRB policy statement?
Yes.
Officer, have you read and do you understand Administrative Guide 304-10, which states that absent exceptional circumstances, an officer will be dismissed from the police department for intentionally making a false official statement?
Yes.
Okay, so officer, directing your attention to August 10th, 2022, and you can feel free to reference your memo for these questions. Do you have a copy on hand? I have here.
I got the app.
You have the digital one? All right, so what hours did you work?
3 p.m. till 11:35.
Okay, and did you work any overtime?
Yes.
Okay, what was your official end of tour?
3:35 the next morning.
Okay. And what was your assignment?
Patrol.
And where were you patrolling?
J Street. I was fixed at J Street.
Okay.
It's a subway.
Okay. And what was, were you equipped with a body-worn camera?
Yes.
Okay. When were you first equipped with a body-worn camera?
I don't recall.
Is it like
It's been a while because we changed to a new one, an old one, and
Mhm.
it was, yeah.
Okay, all right. Has it been at least a year?
Yes.
Okay. And did you record this incident on your body-worn camera?
Yes.
Okay. And when did you last review the footage?
This morning.
Okay. With whom were you working on this day?
I was working with two other officers, but they weren't with me at the time.
Okay. But who were they?
Officer Alsop and Shabazz.
Okay. All right. And were you dressed in uniform or in plain clothes?
Yes, uniform.
Okay. And were you assigned to a motor vehicle or working on foot?
Foot.
Okay. All right. And do you have any entries in your memo book regarding this incident?
Yes.
Please read the entries verbatim into the record, so just word for word.
Well, it says other suspicious person at TPO, a suspicious male was hiding against the wall close to the command. Upon investigation, male was recording the inside of the police facility. Male became disorderly when asked if he needed any help. Male was escorted out the station where he requested for supervisor and made CCRB complaint. Sergeant Griffin was 84 and escorted the male into the base to file a CCRB complaint.
Okay, thank you. And the location there says what?
TD30, the base.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And did you prepare any other documentation in regards to this incident?
No.
Okay. Did you make any video recordings or take any photographs during the incident?
Just the body-worn camera and that's it.
Okay. All right, so officer, directing your attention to approximately 7:20 p.m. on August 10th, 2022. What happened?
Walking back into the station, I saw this male hiding against the iron bars, I would say, close to the command. I took my flashlight out and flashed it towards him to get his attention. He turned around and started cursing at me.
Then what happened?
Other officers came, they heard the shouting, I guess, and they came to assist me.
And then what?
The other officer, together with two others, they decided to escort the subject or the station. I followed behind. The subject kept on cursing, using profanity. He requested for shield, names. It was given to him. He kept coming close to us. I was like, get back, get back. He didn't listen, so that's when I created space by pushing him away.
Okay. All right. So, can you just give me a little bit of the background around the layout of the TD30 station house?
So it's in the subway. It's below street level.
Mm-hmm.
So from the street, you got to go down the staircase. You see bars. That's the unpaid mez. There's turnstiles. There's a boot. That's where passengers normally go and get into the subway. We have emergency gate, and the bars where the precinct is. He was by the bar in front of, close to the precinct glass wall. There's a glass wall where you can see directly inside the precinct, the front desk, the whole, So he was in that area.
Okay. So when you first saw him, was he inside of the station house or was he just in the subway station?
In the subway station.
Okay. And then this sort of glass, is it covered at all?
No.
No? Okay. And did you have any prior knowledge of the civilian, Shawn Thomas?
No.
No? Okay. And did you have any previous interactions with him?
No.
Okay. And you mentioned that you were walking back to the station. Do you mean the station house or the subway station?
Station house.
Station house,
Yeah.
okay. And where were you coming from?
J Street.
You were coming from J Street,
Yeah.
okay. And why were you returning to the station house?
Meal.
Meal, okay. Were you with any other officers?
2 other officers, 2 female officers.
Okay, and who were they?
Officer Brewski.
Mm-hmm.
She's new, and there was another one, I don't remember her name.
Okay. All right. And I know you mentioned that you saw him hiding against the bars. What initially drew your attention to him?
It looked suspicious, the way he was bladed and he was close to the command. I didn't know what he had in his hands and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So,
so you were concerned about what he had in his hand?
if he needed help, that's why I tried to do a little.
Okay. And what did it look like he had in his hands at that point?
At first, I didn't know what it was. When I came and he turned around, and I saw it was a camera.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And just, you mentioned that you thought he might have needed help. What for?
Maybe trying to get another cop's attention inside here. I don't know what his intentions were. Or
Okay. All right. So he was, just for the record, he was suspicious because he was bladed, the blading of his body, and he had something in his hands and was pointed towards the station house.
Yes.
Was there any other reason why you believed he was suspicious at that point?
No.
Okay. Did you suspect any criminality of him when you approached him?
No.
No? Okay. And when did you notice that he had the camera in his hand?
When he turned.
When he turned? Okay,
Yeah.
so, all right. And that's after you had flashed the
Yes,
flashlight?
get his attention and ask him, can I help you?
Okay. All right. Do you know how long he was in the subway station for prior to you approaching him?
No.
Okay. And do you know if he was inside of the station house at any point prior to your approach? Okay. And sort of, who made the decision to approach him to get his attention?
I did.
You did, okay. And did you have any conversation about him with the 2 officers that you were with prior to
No.
approaching him? No? Okay. And you mentioned that you shined the flashlight to get his attention. Where did you shine it?
Like in front where he was looking at.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's a big ray of light, I would say. So it got some on his face, his hands.
Okay. All right. Did the flashlight show you what he had in his hand at that point?
No.
No. Okay. And just, I understand that you shined your flashlight to get his attention. Was there any other reason why you shined your flashlight towards his face and side to side?
No.
Okay. And after you got his attention, did you continue to shine your flashlight?
No, it's just a brief one stroke.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that was it.
Okay. And at the time you realized that he had a camera in his hand, he was photographing. Was he free to continue photographing?
He didn't stop. He kept on. I didn't stop him.
Okay. Okay. Was he free to leave at that point?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Is there any reason why Mr. Thomas would not have been able to photograph inside of the station house? From where he was standing, was there any reason why he wouldn't have been able to continue photographing?
For me or for him? Because I don't understand.
What is there anything that the way you were trained?
Mhm.
Is there anything that would prevent Mr. Thomas from photographing inside the precinct from where he was standing? Right, because he's on the other side of the glass.
Yeah, you can record inside the police facility.
Okay, all right. And you mentioned that he turned around and cursed at you. Can you walk me through that verbal interaction that you guys had?
Well, when I got his attention, he turned around. I was like, "Hey, can I help you?" He started cursing. I don't recall exactly what he said, but he was like, "Oh, you illegal immigrant," and those lines, yeah, like racial slurs and stuff he was saying to me.
Okay, all right. Okay. And about how long was that verbal interaction going on before other officers approached?
Like 30 seconds, like 40 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then which other officers came to assist?
Officer Richter, Officer Q, and another officer.
Okay. All right. Mr. Alexander, do you have any questions up until this point?
I just want to go back over. So after you showed the flashlight, Mr. Thomas turned around, and at this point, did you get the chance to ask him what he needed help with first, or did he?
I just asked him, "Can I help you?"
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't respond. He just responded with curse words, and that's it. He didn't ask.
What was he doing with his hands at this time?
He had his camera, and then he had a cell phone and the other one.
And where exactly was this cell phone and camera pointed at that time?
When he turned, it was towards myself and the other officer.
Oh.
Yeah. All right. So when these other officers arrived, what happened?
Officer Richter tried to calm down the subject. It wasn't working. He kept cursing us off, requested name and shield. It was given to him. He tried to de-escalate the situation. He wasn't having it, so that's when Officer Richter decided to escort him outside the station.
Okay. All right. And under what circumstances can a civilian be ejected from the station?
Disorderly behavior, harassment,
Okay.
outstretch.
And in this instance, it was the fact that
He was being loud, cursing, disorderly.
Okay. All right. And just what's the general procedure for when civilians escorted out?
Ask them to leave first on their own will,
Mm-hmm.
and ask them a few more times. If they don't want to leave, then we try to guide them out the station.
Okay. And after the other officers arrived, did you have any other verbal interaction with Mr. Thomas?
Upstairs at the staircase, he did ask me again for my shield and badge number. I did provide it to him.
But inside of the station, inside of the subway station?
No.
No. Okay. All right. Okay.
I just have a question.
Sure.
How many times during this interaction at the train station did you ask Mr. Thomas to leave?
I didn't ask him to leave.
And who did you say asked him to leave?
Officer Richter.
And how many times did Officer Richter ask him to leave?
I can't recall.
Okay.
Okay. And I know you mentioned that he was being you mentioned he was being disorderly. Was that because he was being loud and cursing?
Yes.
Okay. Was there any other aspect that led him to be disorderly?
Well, I would say the movement, because he kind of kept walking forward and he wasn't following our commands, like please leave the station. He wasn't following our...
Okay. Yeah. And then were other civilians starting to gather, anything like that?
No.
Okay. And was he being disorderly at all before you approached him?
No, he was just standing there.
Okay. All right. And who made the decision to eject Mr. Thomas?
Officer Richter.
Okay. And did you participate in ejecting him at all?
I followed the officers up the staircase.
Okay. So can you just tell me a little bit more about how he was ejected?
Officer Richter was like, okay, yo, sir, we need you to leave, And he was like, he was moving, so Officer Richter went towards his shoulder and just guided him out up the staircase. He turned around and kind of gave like a nudge, I would say, and that's when Officer Richter grabbed him by the shoulder, and they both kept on walking from where I can see, and the rest of the half of the staircase he walked up by himself.
Okay.
And just for the record, when you said nudge, you moved your elbow. Is that what you did, or?
Shawn Thomas moved
Okay.
his elbow, yeah.
Okay. And sorry, just to take a step back, when Officer Richter asked him to leave, did Mr. Thomas refuse to leave at that point?
He wasn't leaving.
He wasn't leaving. Okay. But did he verbally say, "No, I'm staying"?
I don't recall.
You don't recall. Okay. Okay. So he didn't willingly leave the station.
No.
Okay. All right. And while Mr. Thomas was being escorted out, did you ever come into physical contact with him?
No.
Okay. And other than Officer Richter, did any other officer come into physical contact with him?
I don't know.
Okay. You said that Officer Richter guided him out. What do you mean by that?
Walked like shoulder to shoulder, I would say,
Okay.
escorted him out.
Was he holding Mr. Thomas? Was he doing anything like that?
No.
No? Okay. And at what point did Mr. Thomas turn around and give the nudge?
When he reached over his shoulder, and that's when he gave him the nudge.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when was that? Was that in the station? Was that on the staircase?
On the staircase.
Staircase, okay. And sorry, just so we have for the record, can you just describe how the staircase is?
So where he was standing,
Mm-hmm.
okay, this was the fence, I would say the iron wall. There's a staircase right over here,
Mhm.
and there's like two parts. You go up this way, and then you make a U-turn and go up the other way.
Okay.
And that's the street level staircase.
Okay. So then
Let
just
me,
for the record.
let me see you put that on the
Yeah.
record.
So just for the record, the staircase is opposite the iron bars where Mr. Thomas was standing,
Correct.
and it seems as though there was a staircase that led up to, is it a landing? It leads up to a landing, and then at that landing...
The street
stairs-
level.
So you said there were two staircases, right?
Yes.
The first staircase, does that go up to a landing?
Yes.
Okay, so it goes up to a landing, and then you pretty much walk backwards up in the same direction you came up
Yes.
in to the street level?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I think that was...
That was pretty good.
Okay. So the nudge occurred, sorry, this got lost. The nudge occurred when he was on about the staircase?
Yes, the first set.
The first
staircase.
staircase.
And just so we're clear, the nudge is a thrown elbow.
Yes, it's a thrown
Okay.
elbow. Yeah. Okay. And at that point, Officer Richter grabbed his shoulder and walked him up.
Yeah, and he walked up by himself.
Okay. Did Officer Richter push Mr. Thomas at any point?
I did not see
Okay.
from where I was standing.
Okay. All right. And you mentioned that he grabbed him on his other shoulder. Which shoulder was it?
The right side,
His right side. Okay. And was Officer Richter standing to his left or to his right?
standing to his right.
Standing to his right. And side by side, behind and front.
He turned around when he was going up the staircase.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he was attempting to come back into the train station,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when he made hand contact with him.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, just to clarify. So was Officer Richter on the same stair? Was he on the
Yes.
stair? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
On the lower staircase where he was, because he was in front of him,
Mhm.
at a higher advantage.
And
Oh, he was at a higher. So
Yeah, like one-
Mr. Thomas was one or two steps
staircase,
in
yeah.
front.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And just for the record, the elbow nudge, which hand was it?
The right.
The right hand?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. And then, other than the elbow that Mr. Thomas used, was there any other resistance that Mr. Thomas was having towards being ejected from the station?
No.
No. Okay. All right. And just to go through some of the allegations, did you grab Mr. Thomas at any point?
No.
Okay. Did you push him at any point while inside the subway station or on the stairs?
No, not around the stairs.
Okay. And did Officer, so you mentioned Officer Brewski, that's Officer Brewster Collier.
The female, yeah.
So did she grab or push Mr. Thomas
No.
at any point? Okay. And then the other officer, you mentioned that there was P.O. Richter, P.O. Q, and then there was another officer.
Mhm.
That officer is Officer Walton. Did Officer Walton grab or push Mr. Thomas at any point?
I did not see.
Okay. All right. Did Officer Q come into any physical contact with Mr. Thomas?
I don't recall.
You recall? Okay. All right. Did Officer Q try to grab at Mr. Thomas's camera at any point?
I don't recall.
Okay. All right. And you mentioned that Mr. Thomas walked up that second set of stairs on his own.
Yeah.
Okay. Which officers were escorting him up that second set of stairs?
It was Officer Richter, Officer Q, and the other one, Walton, I believe, yeah.
Okay. And they were up front?
Yeah, they were up front.
Okay. So was Officer Brewster Collier also walking you?
She was next to me, but
She was next to you?
further down.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. And was there any verbal interaction between any of the officers and Mr. Thomas as he was being ejected?
No. You
No?
just leave the station, keep walking,
Specifically, was there any verbal interaction between Officer Q and Mr. Thomas when he was being ejected?
I don't recall.
Okay. At any point, did Officer Q tell Mr. Thomas, get the fuck out?
Yes. I heard somebody say that, but I don't know if it was him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you heard someone say, get the fuck out, but
Yeah.
you don't know if it was BME
Yeah.
specifically. Okay. All right. Okay. And did Mr. Thomas ask Officer Q for his name and badge number at any point?
I don't recall.
I don't recall. Okay. Do you know if Officer Q provided any of the identifying information?
I don't recall. Yeah.
Okay. And you mentioned on the subway level, Mr. Thomas requested the name and shield. Was that of all the officers who were present there?
He asked me. He asked two other officers.
Mhm.
Not really. Yeah, I don't recall
Okay.
if he did for everyone.
Okay. All right. And then, just to clarify, you provided your
Yeah.
information, and do you remember if the other officers provided their information as well?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yes, they provided, or yes, you remember?
Yes, they provided.
Okay. And after someone's ejected from the station, what's the process after their ejection?
They're not free to come back into the station.
Okay.
Yeah.
For how long?
Given until we stay over there,
Mhm.
because we can't be on that spot, for long.
Mhm.
So.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So, pretty much while officers are present, the
Yeah.
individual is not allowed to return into the
Yeah.
station? Okay. And then what's the typical procedure for dealing with an individual who tries to re-enter?
Arrest for trespass.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. And then are officers allowed to use force to prevent an individual from re-entering the subway station?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. And prior to reaching the street level, could Mr. Thomas have been arrested for anything?
This con,
Mhm.
I would say, for bare minimum, and the recording was up against the glass of the command.
Okay. All right. Okay. And could he have been other than his disorderly behavior and the harassment, I believe you mentioned, could he have been ejected for any other reason?
No.
No? Okay. All right. And while on the street level, could Mr. Thomas have been arrested at any point?
If you try to come back inside.
Okay.
Mhm.
Would it have just been if he tried to, or if he just actually re-entered or forced his way through and re-entered?
Force his way.
Okay. Okay. And then that would have been for trespassing, as you mentioned?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else he could have been arrested for?
No, he didn't do anything out of the way here.
Okay. All right. Okay. And did Officer Brewster Collier tell Mr. Thomas that if he tried to go back into the subway station, he would be arrested?
I don't recall.
Okay. All right. And just generally, to your understanding, what is the policy for when a civilian requests an officer's name and shield?
To provide it.
Okay. Is there any reason why an officer would not need to provide their name and shield on the spot?
Maybe they didn't hear, or maybe they were too busy with. It depends on the situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So situationally,
Yeah.
the exigencies exist,
Mhm.
Okay. All right. And did Mr. Thomas ask Officer Brewster Collier for her name and shield number?
Yes.
Okay. Did she provide that information?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And I just want to clarify one thing. You mentioned that he started approaching you while you guys were on the street level.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
We were standing, and he was, again, with his cameras and stuff, and to the left of me, he came like if he was trying to come behind me. So that's why I turned. I was like, "Why are you trying to get behind me?"
Mm-hmm.
And he started cursing again, and he walked towards Officer Brewster. I was behind of me, and yelling, cursing, saying racial slurs and stuff. And I saw he was kind of getting a bit too close to her, so I was like, "Hey, get back, get back!" And he wasn't listening, so that's when I created some space.
Okay. Did he physically resist at all?
No.
No. Okay. And before all of this occurred, about how long were you guys on street level for?
I would say about 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And once you reached street level, is that when he started approaching, or was he doing things before that point?
You're talking about the when the officer had him say, "Get back, get back."
Yeah. So before that, you mentioned that he was continuing to record. He was moving around. He was cursing at you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Was that everything that happened within that span of 2 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And that push that you mentioned, like telling him to get back to create space, did other than creating space, was there any other reason why you
Safety.
safety?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
Could be other reasons. Safety, Yeah,
But-
I say safety.
But in this case, it was basically to make space and for your safety.
Mhm.
Anything else is the question.
Oh,
In
yeah.
this case.
No, this case is just safety and create space.
Okay. And creating space was for your safety, is that?
Yes.
Yes, okay. All right. Okay. Was it an attempt to prevent him from re-entering the station?
At that point, no.
No, okay. Did any officer attempt to prevent Mr. Thomas from entering the station?
Yes.
Okay, which officer?
It was Officer Richter. I think was Officer Brewster also.
Okay, and what did they do?
They got in front of him when he was trying to. That's when he walked in back of me, and she came in front of him.
Okay, so just blocking his path?
Yeah.
Okay, did they like push him at all? Did they shove him?
No, she didn't touch him.
Okay. Okay. All right. And did Officer Walton tell Mr. Thomas at any point that the officers would continue to put their hands on him if he tried to go downstairs?
I don't recall.
Okay. And while Mr. Thomas was upstairs, you mentioned that he was recording. How was he recording?
Cell phone.
Cell phone?
Yeah.
Okay, just the one?
Yeah.
Okay, and which hand was the cell phone in?
I don't know. Can't recall.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just at any point did Officer Brewster Collier block Mr. Thomas from recording?
I was upstairs.
Upstairs?
No.
No? Okay. What about downstairs?
No.
No? Okay. Did any officer block Mr. Thomas from recording?
No.
No? Okay. And when you pushed him to create space, which arm did you use?
I'm a right hand, so I used my right.
Okay, and where did you push him on his body?
It was like his hand, because his hands was up, and when I pushed, I probably hit this one, and that was it.
Okay, so you hit his right hand with your right hand.
I'm not sure.
You're not sure? Okay,
Yeah.
all right. But you hit him, you pushed him most likely in his
Yeah, I
body.
made contact with one of his hands.
Okay, all right. Okay. And did any other officer have any physical interactions with Mr. Thomas on the street level?
No.
No? Okay. Investigator Alexander, any questions at this point?
Yes, I just had a question about the name and the shield. When Mr. Thomas asked you for your name and shield, did you provide that immediately?
Yes, when he gave me the chance, he was speaking, and then when he finished speaking, then I said my name and shield.
Okay, and just going back to the interaction on the staircase,
Mm-hmm.
I remembered you said that Mr. Thomas continued to curse while he was being escorted. At that point, did any officers communicate with him while he was going up the stairs, other than telling him to go up?
I don't recall.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of yelling. So.
And just for the record, when your right hand touched Mr. Thomas' hand that you're not sure fully of, outside,
Mm-hmm.
did Mr. Thomas, what did his body do? Did he move backwards? Was he still standing there?
He just took a step back.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Sorry, you said something that made me have a question. I completely forgot just now.
Oh, I asked about the shield, and then I asked about the staircase.
Oh, yeah. So, if a civilian asks you for your name and shield multiple times, do you have to provide that information every single time that they ask?
I guess it would depend on the circumstances.
Yeah, if it's an older person and they can't hear, or they need to write it down and they can't get the last digit, I'll repeat it.
Okay.
It's no big deal. Yeah.
But if a civilian made it clear that they heard you the first time around, would you have to repeat it if they requested it again?
You don't have to once you say it once.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
How many times did he ask in this case?
A few times. Downstairs, upstairs. I said 2. Yeah.
I'm just going to show you a quick clip of your body-worn camera footage attached to I-57 of the case file. I'll be starting at 15 seconds. Just check that. All right. And just this officer on the left here.
Yes.
That's, which officer?
Brewster.
Brewster, okay. All right. So I'm pausing at 22 seconds. At this point, what's going on in the footage?
Individual has something up to his eye level, pointing to command.
Okay. And at this point, you're still unclear as to what's in his hand?
I didn't see what was in his hands.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay. Pausing again at 28 seconds. This is when he turns. Is this when it's clear that he has a camera in his hand?
Yeah, I can see a camera.
Okay. Just to your independent recollection of the event itself, not based off the footage specifically, but this is to your recollection. Is this when you noticed the camera?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. And just to clarify one thing, so when you were shining the flashlight initially, did you at all intend to disrupt his recording or photograph?
Just to get his attention.
Just to get his attention. Okay. All right. And also, you see this officer in the center here.
Mm-hmm.
Does that help you remember which officer was present?
I don't know her name.
You don't know her? Oh, you don't know her name. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. I'm just gonna press play. Okay. I'm going to pause at 58 seconds. So it seems as though Mr. Thomas was having a verbal interaction with you for about, 30, 35 seconds at this point. Was this just entirely consistent of him cursing at you?
Cursing, yeah.
Okay. Did you respond at all?
I was just trying to explain myself why I approached him. I was just, I'm trying to help you out. You
Mhm.
okay, And
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. And I'm going to press play again, 15 seconds. All right. Pausing at the 1 minute mark. So now that the audio has started, what does that generally indicate with the BWC?
That's when we activate.
Okay. So why did you activate your BWC at this point?
Because I saw Officer Richter activated his.
Okay.
And he wasn't calming down, because I didn't know it was going to escalate. So that's why.
Okay. So you activated your camera at this point because the situation escalated?
It wasn't de-escalating. It wasn't getting better when,
But it was adversarial from the beginning?
As soon as he turned around, he went off on me.
Okay.
Yeah, he started cursing.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you. All right. I mean, other than Mr. Thomas trying to go behind you, did he ever approach you or any other officer with his camera in his hand?
Multiple times when he was upstairs.
Okay.
Asking for shield and names.
Okay. Did he ever get too close at any point?
He took a few steps towards, and that's what's about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let me just check my notes, make sure there's nothing I'm missing. Do you have any other questions at this point? And I just want to clarify one last thing. I believe I might have asked it before, but I just want to make sure I have it for the record. And the reason why you thought he needed help was just because he was standing there and...
Well, he was kind of suspicious, hiding against the bar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I just asked if he was okay
Okay.
after I got his attention.
Okay. And what was suspicious about him being there?
The way, well, anyone that's using the subway, they just don't be at the front of the command, you know, trying to...
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you suspect him of anything? Because you mentioned he was suspicious.
I just found out what he wanted.
What he wanted?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Anything else?
Yes, for your command and the train station, what is the boundary between both? Where does the command start? Where does it end in comparison to the train station?
Well, in terms of jurisdiction or
The station
public
house, like the
and
physical, the physical station. house.
right where the bar where he's at, where his hands were,
Mhm.
that's
Okay.
off, yeah.
Okay.
So anything across or inside that bar, yeah, it's off.
On the
off
other
limit.
side of the bar.
Yeah.
Okay. But the other side of the bar from where he was still in the subway station at that point.
Yeah, but I remember he was close to the bar, so
Yeah.
his hands were on the,
Mhm.
well, between the bars inside, on the other side.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Great. Have you told me everything that you remember regarding this incident?
Fairly, yes.
Okay. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
No.
Okay. This interview is now concluded. The time is now 9:57 a.m. And
Does the department have regulations with regard to filming within precinct houses?
Well, the policy applies to all NYPD facilities.
Well, okay, as to that, but how about the immediate vicinity thereof?
Do you mean like the outside?
Yeah.
No, not to my knowledge. And I think that there would be constitutional questions about recording outside on sidewalks